This individual who was let out by soft on crime Democrat policies.
We begin with outrage in Kentucky after a convict released from prison 13 and a half years early under what they call shock probation just last year is brought up on new kidnapping, assault, and robbery charges. Armand Langford appearing in court yesterday. He is accused of abducting a woman and her two young sons from their house on Friday to help him go and rob a bank in Louisville.
Now, this is insane. Is this what you want happening around you? I moved my kids from Africa to North America to keep them safe. I wouldn't move my family to a place where I knew the crime rates were high. That's why we live in the boonies, out in the country. I'm not out in the country.
So much for rehab. Police say he forced the mom to drive her own car at knife point, while one of the sons was in the front. Longford sat in the back with the youngest son. When they arrived at the bank, Langford allegedly used the mom as bait, threatening to kill her if the teller didn't give him $20,000. The teller gave him some cash. He ran off.
This is crazy. And he happens to be black. Now, from one black man to another black man, okay, crime is not in the blood, all right? Crime is not a skin issue. It's about how people are raised. And most people who grew up in black communities, who don't have fathers, who are raised by single parents, tend to turn out like this. It is a miracle for a child to be raised by a single parent who doesn't have the time to raise him properly to actually come out like a Dr. Ben Carson. It's very hard to have that happen. And usually people who have that happen, very strict on their kids. They don't let them join gangs and so on. It is a very hard thing to do. And so you have people on the Democrat side who say that being hard on crime is racist. And then you have reports like this where people who are supposed to have gone through the penal system and have been reformed because they went through a rehab system, they come out and they immediately do things like this.
But was found and arrested 6 hours later.
So the suspect is now being held on a $1 million bond, and we're learning he should have been serving a 14-year sentence for similar robbery.
Look at that.
But he was released from custody early on shock probation.
So he had done this before. And then the soft on crime policy of the Democrats let him out. And then he puts a mother and her two children at risk because he used them as human shields. Where does that sound familiar? How does that sound? Where have we seen that happen before? Oh yeah, what we see in Gaza with Hamas. Of course, the Democrats, what's going on in Palestine, in Gaza, but it is the fault of Hamas. And so Hamas puts civilians, and then when civilians get impacted by the trouble, they take videos of all of that and go to the UN to claim that that Israel is killing innocent civilians. And what's equally evil is people who run interference for that kind of behavior.
July of 2024, after serving just 5 months. Shock probation allows certain misdemeanors and felony offenders a second chance after a short time behind bars.
What?
A judge considers the seriousness of their crime and how the criminal is attempting to reform. The convict then serves the remainder of their sentence on probation if granted.
I'd never heard of that before. Meanwhile, Langford was granted shock probation under the conditions that he completed intensive outpatient treatment and submit to random drug tests. The family said this would never happen if Langford had served his full punishment.
Other states like Ohio, Indiana, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Iowa also offer shock probation programs. So he
And how's the crime rates in those cities? Ohio, isn't that where we had the brawl? They called it a brawl. It wasn't a brawl. It was a. I don't want to use a word that the YouTube AI would find and flag this video. It wasn't a brawl. People ganged up on people who weren't the same race as they were, and they beat them severely, injuring them, and everyone who was on the left thought it was fine, that the white people deserved it. So it's interesting to see how these cities deal with crime. So yet again, blue cities show us how they handle crime. They are soft on crime, and when you're soft on crime, you have more criminals in the general population. And with more criminals in the general population, you have more crime. Who knew that that would happen? Who knew? Blue cities do this every single time.